Good, happy Tuesday morning, February 25, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's begin. First up, fire truck crash could cost Manchester more than $1 million. Officials examine truck's damage in collision. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
The New Hampshire Department of Corrections has immediate openings for corrections officers. Apply today.
The collision between fire trucks responding to a call on Friday took two massive pieces of equipment out of service, injured one civilian and 8 firefighters, some still off the job, recovering from whiplash, bumps and bruises, even a captain with a possible broken rib.
It banked up pretty good. Those were, like I said, heavy vehicles, and that impact was quite severe. So we have some. It's still minor injuries, just thankfully.
But it's a major impact to the city's firefighting fleet, now down 1 ladder truck, 1 pump truck. Engineers are studying the damage to see if these trucks can be repaired or need to be replaced.
Best case scenario, this is going to be a repair job. Might cost the city, $250,000 to $500,000. Worst case, to replace 2 apparatus like this, it's a good solid $1.75 million.
All city vehicles are self-insured, so the city will have to dip into funds and turn to neighboring towns for extra equipment if needed in an emergency. The chief says the Manchester Fire Department has a good safety record and calls this crash rare.
The last time anything like this occurred in the city was 1982. So, we go out on at least 26,000 calls a year.
Still, the fire department plans to study the police report to try to make sure something like this never happens again. Monica.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Two accused of staging armed robbery in Nashua. Police say clerk, former gas station employee, worked together. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
At Beltate's, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltate's Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Sabrina Bolton and Paul Levesque both now facing misdemeanor charges. Police say they're behind a scheme stemming from last fall.
Back on the evening of November 28th, the Nashville Police Department received a report of a robbery that occurred by the clerk who was identified as Sabrina Bolton.
Officers responded to the Speedway on Amherst Street, Bolton telling them a man with a gun demanded money and got away with cash. Police investigated the robbery, officers and a canine searching for the suspect, but months later, police alleged Levesque, a former Speedway employee, and Bolton had been in on the scheme to make off with cash.
Through further investigation, we were able to identify and determine that both Ms. Bolton and Mr. Levesque had orchestrated the false robbery report, and subsequently arrest warrants were issued for them, and they were arrested on Friday.
News 9 reached out to Speedway for comment, but they say they don't discuss pending litigation. Bolton is now charged with theft, unauthorized taking, acting in concert, and false report to law enforcement. Levesque is charged with theft and acting in concert. They both turned themselves in on Friday after warrants were issued for their arrests. And they will both appear in court to face those charges next month. Live in Nashua, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dump truck overturns, catches fire on I-93 in Canterbury, police say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Infinity Home, disarm the system. Doors open.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Secure your home with X1 and customize your security with Xfinity Home, awarded top pick by CNET. Simple, easy, awesome.
Traffic on I-93 North backed up all afternoon and through the evening as crews cleared the mangled remains of a dump truck that rolled over and caught fire in Canterbury.
I just saw his truck, and then I saw it just disappear. And snow and a bunch of sticks and stuff went flying over the highway.
Cody Durgan was behind the truck this morning, which was hauling gravel.
I was freaking out. I didn't really know what to do.
Durgan says he and an Eversource worker ran over and found the driver trapped inside.
We see the man, he's trying to get out of it. I think the door was pinched. And at this point, flames were starting to come up over the gas tank. The fuel tank was under the door.
With the fire growing, they reached into the cab of the truck.
Once I saw the flames start shooting out, it was pretty sketchy.
They pulled out the 55-year-old driver from Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Just about when he was out, the whole cab was pretty much engulfed. If it were another minute, maybe a minute and a half, he probably wouldn't have made it.
Durgan says the driver had no idea what happened, and he didn't even realize he was in an accident.
He had a bloody lip at the point, but, I mean, he was almost walking on his own. He had some help, but I was surprised.
A close call for the truck driver and those who risked their own safety to help him.
Without the people from Eversource and the various people that pulled over and helped and didn't just stand there and watch, it made a huge difference. It definitely saved a life.
The state police say it's not clear why the driver went off the highway. This remains under investigation. In Canterbury, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Concerns grow as coronavirus continues to spread around globe. Experts urge people to take precaution and avoid panic. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
Lisa Adams is an Associate Dean of Global Health at Dartmouth College, one of many who's watching the impacts of the coronavirus closely.
We have to acknowledge that this is an unprecedented experience, certainly during most of our lifetimes, right, that we've never seen anything like this.
And as it continues to spread, concerns grow.
If only we all had the crystal ball to be able to predict how things are going and which countries are going to be next affected, that's making it very hard. And I know that that's making people very nervous and anxious.
The good news is the CDC says the risk of the virus becoming widespread in the U.S. is still low.
I think there's been great international collaboration around this event, and I think that that's really important to keep in mind, that there are a lot of governments and health authorities working together to try and control this.
But that's not stopping serious concerns in financial markets across the world.
If it continues to spread, we'll see continued slowdown in global growth. It's going to impact, ultimately, supply lines. It's also going to impact consumers. In terms of what they can go out and buy and how willing they are to go out and buy things.
Financial planner Ryan Callahan says he advises his clients to invest in a diverse group of stocks and bonds because he says you never know how long something like this will last.
You look back at history, and you had the SARS virus, over a decade ago, and ultimately in the long term, that can have a significant impact on the markets. It was a very short-term event that happened, and so the question is the coronavirus going to be similar, or is it going to have ultimately a longer-term, more sustained impact?
Health officials are recommending people in the U.S. practice basic hygiene to stay well, the same thing you would do to prevent the flu. Live in the newsroom, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Granite Staters take advantage of warm weather to start vacation week. Families change plans during unseasonable warmth. And yesterday I went to the beach with my mom, and it was very gorgeous out there yesterday. Oh my gosh, loved it. Wish it could stay like that for the rest of the month. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Explore the world just like J.C. Marie Smith with the City Advantage Platinum Select Card. With travel benefits at her fingertips, J.C. can fit right in at the center of the world's most vibrant spectacles. Experience more meaningful moments with the card built for your adventure.
Students at the Seacoast Science Center in Rye running around playing tag, pretending to be fish, avoiding eels on a coral reef, inspired by the exhibit they're studying during their February school vacation camp.
First thing this morning when all the counselors arrived, we were like, okay, how can we get outside as much as possible because we can actually do it?
New exhibits and a gorgeous setting, not the only draw.
The weather has been really accommodating. It's a great time to address cabin fever as best you can.
New Hampshire School Vacation Week usually closes out the season at the rink at Strawberry Bank. Closed today, though, because it's too warm to keep the ice chilled.
Last week with Massachusetts and Maine was terrific.
Otherwise, it's not easy to find much disappointment with how Vacation Week is kicking off.
We're not going anywhere, but we'll probably do fun day stuff like this. And
no snowman, but it's February. How could you not like this?
Most not taking it for granted, finding ways to just be outside, soaking it in.
You have to remind yourself it's still winter.
This is the lull before the cold on the weekend. So we'll go skiing Cannon on Sunday.
It changes day to day. It is New England. As far as the rink goes at Strawberry Bank, it could still open between now and Sunday, but they're not complaining. They said it's been a perfect winter for ice skating with over 20,000 visitors. We're live in Portsmouth. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow set to rise more than 200 points following its worst drop in 2 years. U.S. stock index futures were higher Tuesday morning following the market's worst decline in 2 years on coronavirus. Stunned, Harvey Weinstein jailed after guilty verdict. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here to start another week. And we begin tonight with the Harvey Weinstein verdict, guilty of rape and criminal sexual assault, not guilty on 3 other counts. Tonight, he's been taken to New York's infamous Rikers Island, once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. Tonight, Weinstein is now behind bars. He faces up to 29 years in prison. The DA, Cy Vance, saying after the verdict of the women who testified, they inaugurated a, quote, new day for sex assault survivors. Tonight, Harvey Weinstein's lawyers vowing to appeal, and ABC's Ariel Reshef leads us off outside that courtroom here in New York.
He was once one of the most powerful movie producers in Hollywood, but tonight Harvey Weinstein is a convicted sex offender, facing 5 to 29 years behind bars.
This is the new landscape for survivors of sexual assault in America, I believe. Weinstein is a vicious, serial sexual predator. who used his power to threaten, rape, assault, trick, humiliate, and silence his victims.
The former movie mogul appearing stunned by the verdict as he was lifted out of his seat and taken to jail.
He looked at me and he just said, I'm innocent. He's like, I'm innocent. He's like, you know, how could this happen in America?
But the jury found Weinstein guilty of the third-degree rape of Jessica Mann and guilty of sexually assaulting Mimi Halei in 2006.
I tried to get away, but it was impossible. He was extremely persistent and physically overpowering.
If you do to women what you did to Mimi, you shouldn't be surprised if you have to face criminal consequences for the crimes that you committed against them.
Jurors acquitting Weinstein on 2 counts of predatory sexual assault with a possible life sentence. Those charges hinging on the testimony of Sopranos actress Annabella Sciorra, who claimed Weinstein violently raped her nearly 3 decades ago. More than 80 women have accused Weinstein of sexual misconduct. His trial seen as a watershed moment for the Me Too movement.
The trial means so much to so many, but it will mean the most to the brave women testifying and to all of us silence breakers.
Weinstein picking a high-powered defense team, including an attorney who built her career defending men accused of sex crimes. Donna Rotuno arguing in and out of the courtroom that Weinstein's accusers engaged in consensual sex to advance their careers.
You have to know that when you make certain choices, there's a risk when you make those choices.
A lot of people would say what you just said is victim blaming.
And that's absolutely not true. If you don't want to be a victim, don't go to the hotel room.
But tonight, survivors and activists calling the verdict a moment of reckoning for the Me Too movement. Rose McGowan tweeting, "Today is a powerful day and a huge step forward in our collective healing." And Ashley Judd saying, "This is the way it's supposed to be." Harvey's guilty verdict demonstrates how overwhelmingly guilty he was.
So let's get to Ariel Reshef with us from that New York courthouse. And you've learned he's now at Rikers Island tonight, Harvey Weinstein. And when could he face sentencing?
Well, David, due to his back injury, Harvey Weinstein is on his way to the infirmary unit at Rikers Island Jail. His attorneys tell me that they plan to file his appeal this week. His sentencing scheduled for March 11th, and he also faces those additional criminal charges in Los Angeles. David?
All right, Ariel Reshef leading us off on a story she's been covering from the start. Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Tonight is the CBS News February 25th, 2020 Democratic debate. Let's take a look at the promo and preview of tonight's debate on CBS.
Together, we have built a movement.
We choose hope over fear.
We kept fighting.
Our work starts now.
We are going to unite together. Time has come to turn the page.
We're going to rebuild the United States tomorrow. They want to be your president. Now, this is your chance to see if they have what it takes. The CBS News Democratic Debate. Tomorrow, only on CBS.
Okay, and there you go. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.